Welcome back, basketball fans. So I just watched the LSU Iowa 2023 NCAA Women's National Game again because a lot of people recently have been talking about how this is the game that made Caitlin Clark relevant. And of course, they're using this as a way to really put a lot of the emphasis on Angel Reese, talking about thanks to their rivalry and thanks to Angel Reese, this is why Caitlin Clark is as popular as she is. But see, you go back and watch the game prior to this game when Iowa played South Carolina. South Carolina, who had already won a tournament, was the favorite that year in 2023 under Dawn Staley, right? And see the talk that was going on prior to Caitlin Clark running into South Carolina in the NCAA tournament, right? And if you're so ignorant and you don't remember when Caitlin Clark was a freshman in basketball, when the big rivalry, of course, was between her and Paige Beckers, two great high school players, All-Americans, who obviously were freshmen in college. Obviously, there was huge push at that time talking about who would be the better college player. This was literally Caitlin Clark's freshman year with her rivalry with Paige Beckers, a white girl, right? So, not to make it into a race thing, but it's just showing you people that tried to make this into this Magic Johnson, Larry Bird scenario. It's not that. It's not the same, right? Caitlin Clark was big years before this, her third year, her junior year. Obviously, if you look at the hype and what people were saying going into the South Carolina game and then post-South Carolina game, that had nothing to do with Angel Reese. The only thing Angel Reese brought to this game was recognition to herself and how bad of a sports person she is. Because she'd rather chase after Caitlin Clark on the court, rubbing it in, being such a poor sports person, right? Not being fucking, a good winner, understanding you just played a great rivalry against one of the best players in college basketball who put up 30 and 8 against you, right? But obviously their team was just outmanned and they ended up losing. Caitlin Clark, how many points was it necessary for her to score? When you put up 30 and 8, you're doing more than your fair share, right? And it could easily have been 12 or more assists, quite a few missed layups from the big men on her team. But that's mostly what came from this. The negativity that Angel Reese brought onto herself. We saw the next year when, of course, Caitlin Clark and LSU played again. And Caitlin Clark won that game in the semifinals, only to go then lose to Dawn Staley in the finals, the team they beat the year before in the semifinals, right? And look at how Angel Reese took that loss. She could not be magnanimous. She couldn't be like Caitlin Clark was. Caitlin Clark went, gave Kim Mulkey a hug and a handshake, praised her team. You could see the last 2 minutes, the camera's on her face, and, she was heartbroken because this is a dream come true for her, right? To win the NCAA tournament. And you're so close, yet so far. And you could see it was really crushing. But she was what you would expect a pro athlete to do, to be professional. She bottled it up, used that to motivate her in her senior year. She didn't fucking throw a tantrum. She fucking didn't act like a child. She didn't go in the press conference and blame racism in the media and talk about how she was being sexualized. No. That's what Angel Reese did the next year. So still showing what a poor sports person she was. She was a bad sports person when she won, literally chasing after Caitlin Clark all over the floor, right? Her teammates are hugging and celebrating, but not Angel. Angel's chasing after Caitlin Clark, right? Being a fucking poor sport. And then after getting beat by Caitlin Clark the next year, what's she doing? She's crying and making it all about me in the press conference. What about her team, right? Why do you need to take the shine away from Caitlin Clark's victory by making it all about you and how terrible it was? I mean, Caitlin Clark comes under huge scrutiny consistently, just as much, if not more, than Angel Reese. The difference is Caitlin Clark's not all over social media. She's not trying to build her brand by being a hoochie mama and twerking and making outrageous statements to basically try to discredit one of the top players in the W, right, that's there with her. She's not making those kind of comments. She's not trying to down talk Angel Reese. She's not trying to belittle her. She's not trying to make it into a race thing. She's not trying to criticize, Chicago fans and the media. She just keeps professional, does what she can do, controls what she can control. Angel Reese, on the other hand, is all over social media, flirting with Shaquille O'Neal, who basically tells her, she should play with her top off and she'd get a lot more attention, twerking and getting a lot of attention, not based on her basketball, but based on her sexuality and her over-the-top personality, right? That's what she's making most of her attention from. And she could make that attention even if she stopped playing the WNBA, because sex sells, right? But Caitlin Clark is not that. She's a basketball player. That's what she's selling. Her greatness as a basketball player. She doesn't need to be a hoochie mama. She don't need to try to sell sexuality. She don't need to try to have a bigger than thou personality. She's the one that's, when she has to do the talking, she's very concise, well-mannered, polite and professional. She doesn't need to be critical and hateful to her opponents. She doesn't need to chase after them on the floor, trying to belittle them, right? That's not her, but that's totally Angel, right? Angel was the one that used this opportunity to build up her personality off of the back of Caitlin Clark, because Caitlin Clark has done very well since then, beating Angel Reese, getting into another final, back-to-back years, didn't win, but getting into finals 2 years in a row, that tells you what a great player you are to lead your team in the NCAA tournament to the finals against great teams. Then to be the Rookie of the Year in the WNBA and now be in contention for potentially MVP race. Lead the league in assists your first year in the league, tied for assist leader your second year in the league, right? She's doing what she has to do on the basketball court. The only time we see her off the basketball court is when she's at football games or when she's at golf tournaments, right? Helping bring attention to those events. Her going to golf tournaments brought tons of attention, tons of fans to these golf events, right? And of course, the fans and the players really appreciated her involvement in those tournaments. Obviously, for football, she was there, supporting the team that she supported. And, that's what you would expect. Just like her going to Indiana Pacers games, just like Halliburton going to her games, right? She's not there trying to cash out by being over the top. She does what any professional athlete would do. She's out there, she's not talking. Her presence is enough to get attention, to be on social media. She doesn't need to post all kinds of things. She don't even need to be like her teammate Sophie Cunningham, who obviously is selling sexuality, and I got no problem with it. When you're a beautiful woman, it's understandable you sell sexuality. But when you then complain about being sexualized, that's the problem. You're bringing that shit on yourself. You bring all that attention onto yourself. So don't blame other people when you get exactly what you ask for.